Okay, as promised, I'm back with some tips on working your Armatura Pullover in 2-color brioche. A couple of things to think about to start is that we do have all these edge stitches and border stitches that are going to be in garter stitch or ribbing. I would recommend keeping your second color as the contrasting color on the wrong side of your brioche. That way all of your edges, cuffs, necklines, all of that will be in your main color. Second thing, if you have not worked in 2-color brioche flat before, it can be a little fussy. I don't want to say challenging, it's not really challenging, but it is a bit fussy. The reason for this is that you're going to knit across and then you're going to slide your stitches and knit across again. The colors always alternate, but the rows do not. So we'll get into that in just a moment. What I've done here is I have worked the setup row. So the setup row is going to be the same if you are going to work 1 or 2 color for this. So I've gone ahead on my right side row, I've worked my edge stitches, my knit 1, slip 1 yarn over to my last stitch here, knit that, slip my marker, knit my edge stitches. Something else to think about here is that if you wanted to maintain this slip stitch edge, it's going to get a little complicated with the 2-color. So I would recommend just omitting that and just knitting or purling it rather than trying to slip it. So what we're going to do, this was the right side, I just finished here, and instead of turning my work, I'm going to slide my stitches back. All right, and I'm going to join my contrasting color. So we want to keep this garter stitch edge worked in pattern. The way we're going to do that is we're going to purl these stitches rather than knit them. All right. So the reason we do this is because had we turned our work, we'd be knitting them from the other side, right? We didn't turn our work, so we need to purl them. So we're going to go ahead and work to our marker and slip our marker. Here's our single stitch, and we're going to slip 1 yarn over. However, our paired stitch, we are going to brioche purl instead of brioche knit, because again, we're thinking about things from the opposite side, all right? So slip 1 yarn over and brioche purl. An easy way to remember this is that if you're having to work your garter stitch in purl at the beginning and the end, then you're going to be working your brioche stitches in purl also. So we'll go ahead and make our way down. Okay, and we're ending with our slip 1 yarn over, but I'm purling it. Because I'm jumping the gun. So we're going to purl these last stitches. Now we're going to turn. So our yarn, the main color is the leader and the contrasting color is the follower. So we're always going to go from main color to contrasting color and slide in between. Once they've caught up with each other, that's when we're going to turn. Now we purled our last row, which means we need to purl this one again. So we're going to go ahead and purl these edge stitches here. And since we purled our edge stitches, when we come to a paired stitch, that's our cue that we need to purl it. That's our brioche purl. Single stitch is a slip one yarn over. Brioche purl and slip one yarn over. Okay, we're at the last stitch before our marker, and that's a brioche purl. And remember, we need to purl these last stitches. Now, just sort of a general tip for this. If you have to set your work down and you come back to it and you've got a contrasting color on one side, main color on the other, you might be wondering, where do I start? Since they need to follow each other, you're going to start with the opposite color from what your single stitches show on your needle. So since we've got our main color stitches, we know we would need to start with our contrasting color, and then it would be vice versa. That also goes for if they're both at the same side, and you look and you think, oh, where do I start? Whatever the opposite color is on the single stitches, okay? So we are sliding. We got to get that contrasting color caught up with our main color. And this time we are going to knit because we were on the same side and we purled last. So we're going to knit these edge stitches. Slip our marker. Here's our single stitch, so that tells me I need to do a slip one yarn over. Here's our paired stitch, and I knit these, so I need to brioche knit this. Slip one and brioche knit. There are a lot of tutorials for two-color brioche worked flat. I'm just trying to show you guys how you can read these stitches without having to look at a pattern and follow along stitch by stitch. I think it's so much easier to sort of navigate where you're at and where you need to be when you know exactly what you're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and knit these guys. All right, so we are at the end. Our main color and our contrasting color are on the same side. We're gonna turn. Now you can start to see this being the right side of the work, where the main color is the V's, all these little V's lined up here. And on the wrong side, it is your little contrasting colors that are going to be the V's.